Hi everyone, it's Natalie here again. I'm doing the Vale 28-day Super Juice Me Challenge. I'm on day 12. I'm not doing daily updates anymore. I'm just going to do them weekly because I think it's too much for somebody if they want to watch how the whole 28 days went as they go along. It's probably better to just do it weekly. So I'm just making today the calcium refresher. I have found it's too much to just make every juice from scratch, especially as I'm also incorporating celery juice in the morning, which I'll talk about. Perhaps I'll do another video of doing the celery juice, but that's the Anthony Williams pure celery juice. I'm just going to make a double batch therefore of the calcium refresher, and I'll just talk as I go through as to how I'm using this juicer. I've got very used to this juicer now, certain little anomalies with it that I've got used to, so I'll just share those too. What I am going to do is I'll probably do the fruit first and then the vegetable after, because then I might be able to do something with the pulp, or my neighbour may very kindly take some for me, and I'll get cracking. So I'm just putting pears in first. You can put them in whole, but because they're quite slippery, I found it's easier it only takes a second to cut them into 3 or 4. So I'm just going to put the pears in first. Now this recipe did call for a turnip, half a turnip, so it would be, obviously I'm doing double quantity here. So I've got 2 pears going in, normally it would be 1 for the single quantity. I haven't got a turnip because especially with root vegetables, I really do prefer organic, and you know, what's in the ground takes up the nutrients or the pesticides or any toxins that are in the soil. So what I'm doing is I'm using the substitute that Vale talks about for a turnip, which is a parsnip. So I'm going to put a parsnip in instead, which is organic. So as you can see, the pear has kind of got a little bit stuck, so I'm just going to give that a little nudge. Now, a couple of things that I found with the juicer is if something gets stuck, you can just reverse, which is just this button down here. You have to hold your finger on the reverse button, and that sometimes sorts it out, but not always. Now, a big thing with this is there are 3 checks actually. I should have said this at the beginning. There are 3 checks I do before I start the juicer. One is that this is closed, which is not so critical. 2, that the little plug underneath that I've talked about in the assembling video, there's like a little silicone plug, that is closed, and also that I've actually got something here to catch the pulp, because I've done it quite a few times and I've found the pulp all over the worktop because I've not put something there to catch it. So this needs a little bit of a helping hand, so I'm going to just, it does sometimes, you get used to where you need to drop things. I'm not paying so much attention now, in order to get it to catch on the auger, which is the bit that goes round and squashes everything. So because it's slippery, so it just needs a bit of a helping hand. That should get it now. Don't overfeed it. Only put one thing in at a time. So this is still catching because it's slippery, so it's just scraping round on it. Worst case scenario, occasionally you do need to just take the lid off and just help it on its way. It's just because it's very wet and slippery, the juice from the pear. I'm going to actually do that because it's just going to keep going round. So what I have found is that it really is this corner on my side that is very good, is a good place to put things, and then it usually gets picked up by the auger as it turns. So that's got it now, but it's only a quick thing to have to do. So another pear going in. I might just cut this in half again. This one only takes a second to cut it in half, so it's no effort. You can put them in whole, but it does, again, it tends to sort of take a bite out of it as it goes round. See, that's taking it perfectly now. Now I found the same with cucumber. You can put the cucumber in whole, but because it's got quite a waxy, actually I'm going to put the apple in next. The apple I tend to put in whole, because cucumber has got quite a waxy skin. That does also sometimes tend to slip as it goes round. So I've got another apple as well. Another thing I'm doing is, so with this you do need to take the peel off of citrus fruit. So I've taken the peel off of these limes. I do anything like that last as well, because I don't put it in my composter, and it's just an easy way for me to separate it. So I'll put the next apple in. As you can see, that's handled a whole apple really easily. There's no forcing it in. Just make sure that everything has gone through. Obviously this is going to make quite a lot of juice. I'm going to need something else to catch it because it's getting full. So I'm going to do, so that's my fruit done apart from the citrus. So I'm just going to move this out of the way. I do have a little, I've got a little IKEA kids cutlery knife, which has actually turned out to be perfect. Whilst I'm here, I'll just scoop the rest of that out. I'm not scraping the plastic at all. I'm just coaxing it out. So I'm going to put that works out quite well because that's all the fruit in there now. So now I'm going to start on the cucumber, which it takes so easily if you just cut the cucumber into a few bits. I've got half a cucumber in here because it is a double quantity recipe. Just wait for that to finish its thing, making sure I don't put too much in at once. It seems slow, but slow is good with juicing. So if you're new to juicing like I have been until I started doing this plan, you might think, oh, this is a bit tedious, but actually it extracts the most juice. I am going to have to empty this because there is a lot of juice in this. So I'll just let that piece of cucumber go through. Right, I'll just let some of this juice out. I'm putting this into a large measuring jug just because I need to halve the quantity, and then I know I'm quite accurate with a half portion. So that's just cleared the worst of that. Put the rest of the cucumber in. I'll probably put the mint in next. So I've stripped my mint plant that was growing quite profusely for this double recipe. So I'm kind of squashing it together as much as I can, and I probably will need to give it a little bit of a helping hand here. If I have celery, I quite often use a celery as a tamper to just push it down. I'm not actually using the proper tamper for this, so I shouldn't really be using this one because it's a bit too long, but I'm just being very careful that it doesn't touch the auger as it goes past. So that smells amazing. So I'm going to put the broccoli stalk in next. So it's just a stalk of broccoli. So I've been going through the shops doing the complete opposite to what I normally do, which is looking for 2 heads of broccoli, so I've got more stalks, because it asks for the stalks in this recipe and not the actual broccoli heads. So the parsnip, obviously it's quite hard. It probably can cope with it, but I am going to just cut it down anyway. It'll probably screech a bit. Anything quite hard like this, like, right, it's not quite catching that broccoli, so I'll just reverse it. Actually, that's another thing. If you're doing something like celery, because the celery is so stringy, there are a couple of things I found. The lid feels like it's really stuck on because it's kind of clogged it at the bottom. It copes with it, but it makes the lid very tight. So what I found is, if that happens, don't try to force the lid. It can get on really, really tightly. Just reverse it, and that should release the lid again. Just let the auger go around a few times with it in reverse, and it should release it. So that's coping perfectly well with the parsnip. And we're nearly done. We've just got the rest of this, and then just the limes to do, which I will catch in a separate bowl. Just so that because I don't put those in the composter. So I am doing a bit of faffing around, to be honest, but it's just because of how I like to, because I'm trying to do something with the pulp and make sure as much as possible goes in the composter. And my neighbour's very kindly been making amazing things with it. She's made a fruit soda bread, she's made a soup, so I'm trying not to overload her, but she's been very creative. And I'm very grateful. So that's the last of the parsnip. There is a little bit of mint still there, which we'll just try and coax into the pathway of the auger. So I'll get the bowl out. Oh, I'm overflowing here. Just press that down because there's not much more of this to go. And then that will all go in the compost, so it's not feeling quite so wasteful. Right, a little bit of parsnips just got stuck in there, so I'm just going to reverse it, which just puts it on a different path inside, and you'll see, you'll get really used to it. Excuse me. Overflowing a bit here again. So I'll just get the worst of that out. That's most of the pulp from inside. And then I'm just going to put the limes through. Oh, it's really good, this thing, actually. It makes it effortless. Oh, my throat's going. And you don't have to help this out, it's just something I've become quite obsessive about doing for some reason. Okay, so that is pretty much done. You do get a cup. For collecting the pulp, I tend to use glasses or things that I can really easily rinse and wash in the dishwasher. I don't like putting plastic in the dishwasher. And that is it. So let's get the rest of the juice out. So again, this is called the calcium refresher on the 28-day plan. Whoops. Now what I do find is that after I have emptied this, if I close this little gateway again, a little bit more juice does tend to collect in here, which I then just drain off as a bonus. So we're nearly done. So that has made 600 millilitres or just over a pint. So I will, having it in a measuring jug, I'll now pour it into a glass, put half of it in the fridge to have at 4 o'clock. I'm a bit late having this one, it's 2 o'clock, it's supposed to be 1 o'clock that you have this. And then I don't have to use the juicer again, and then I'm not using it quite so many times. So I hope this was of some help to you. I really do like this juicer. I have got used to it. There are funny little things about it, but you get used to it. And like Jason Vale says, there is no such thing as a perfect juicer. What I particularly like about this one, it is the slowest juicer on the market, so it retains the most nutrients and should get you the best yield as well. Thanks very much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video.